The poem My Mother at 66, written by Kamala Das, revolves around the theme of love and separation. It highlights the concept of aging and the fear of loss of loved ones. It talks about the different stages of life and highlights the fragility of life and mortality of human life. The poem is full of pain and ache, and the tone of the poet is sad and helpless. The poet has used simple language and vivid imagery along with symbolism to depict her emotions, to depict the fear that she has of losing her mother. The poet has also showed the contrast between childhood and old age. Childhood, which is a period full of energy, joy, and life, while uh, old age is remarked by the lack of activity, and it is the stage which comes before death, right? So it's near to death. Okay. Kamala Das is a very emotional poet, and she is also very versatile and connected to her roots. Thus, she is very original. As we can say in the poem, she has written the words Amma, which shows her originality and connection, right? So in the poem, the poet is driving from her parents' home to the Cochin airport, and then she looks at her mother, who is sleeping beside her, who is sitting beside her in the car, but she's actually dozed off, and she looks at her mother. Her mother's mouth is open, like like when people sleep, their mouth is half open, and her face looks as pale as a corpse. Looking at this, the poet realizes that her mother is now very old and she won't live long, and that this thought gives her immense pain. Now, to divert her attention from all of this, she looks outside and she looks at the young trees sprinting. The trees are said to be sprinting because the poet is in a moving vehicle, and the trees look like they are running towards the car, towards the poet, right? And past the poet. Then, after that, also, she looks at the many children spilling out of their homes. That is, the children which are full of energy, they are running out of their homes outside, probably to play. And thus, both of these things, the trees, the young trees, and the merry children, they both pose a contrast to her mother's state, right? And the trees printing also show that time is very fast moving and time flies very fast. Okay, now after the next scene is when the poet is standing at the after the airport security check a few yards away from her mother, and she looks at her mother again, and she sees how pale she looks, how she looks like the moon in the late winters. So the moon in the late winters develops, like, kind of is very dim. It lacks its shine, and there is also a layer of fog that which appears over the moon, which causes it to look very dim and hazy. So comparing the moon to her mother also shows that her mother is now very old. Mother also looks very old, and she has also lost her shine, and also there is a layer of sickness over her mother. The old age has caused her to be this way. And after looking at her mother's condition, the poet feels an ache in her heart, the familiar old ache, the childhood fear. So, when we are all children, when we are young, we are always afraid of losing our parents, our loved ones. And since we are most connected with our mother, we are afraid of losing our mother. So, the poet feels her familiar childhood fear again. It feels it all again. But then again, since she is very practical and she is an optimistic person, she tries to be optimistic and says that see you soon, Amma, means she has hope that she would see her mother again. And then she smiles again and again, and in the poem she has mentioned the word smile 3 times, means repetition has been used here to emphasize the optimism, and also she wants to pass on that optimism to her mother as well, right? She herself tries to be positive and tries to pass on that positivity to her mother as well, right? So there are various poetic devices used, like uh, her face ashen like that of a corpse. Here simile is used. Trees printing is personification. Merry children spilling out of their homes, so we can call it like a contrast between her mother's condition right? And merry children, it is a metaphor.